Good morning everyone. Namaskar to all. This is Balneet Singh Bedi. I welcome all of you to the daily news analysis session by Tathastu ICS. Good morning Sonali, Vikas. Good morning everyone. Let's start today's session. Before we start, these are the announcements for the upcoming batches. Good morning Sonali, Priyanka, Vikas, Mansa. Good morning everyone. This is the GS Foundation batch for the morning, which is commencing from 19th of April 2025. Then we have evening batch for the working professionals as well as students who are pursuing their graduation. It's starting again on the same date, 19th of April 2025. Then we have two optionals, philosophy optional, which is starting on 7th of April 2025 by Dr. Tanu Jain ma'am and her team. Then we have PSIR optional by Manoj Sharma sir, which is again starting on 7th of April 2025. So anyone who wants to enroll can contact Tathastu ICS and take the admission. So these are the news from today's perspective. Good morning Rehan, Sonali, Rishi, Mamta, Priyanka, Mohammed Saeed. Good morning everyone. So under mains Manthan, we will be discussing two editorials. The first editorial, Backdoor Censor. Basically this editorial talks about the Sahyog portal, which is a mechanism to track down the unlawful content from the internet. We will see why it's in news, though it's not very much relevant from the exam perspective, but I have mentioned just the provisions which can be asked or which you need to know in order to write the answer from the mains perspective. Then second, heat waves. As we all know, summer temperatures are rising across the country. So recently union government has given directives to the state government to enhance the preparedness of the health facilities related to health related illnesses such as heat strokes and etc. So basically union government is asking the state governments to gear up, to pull up their socks. Then from prelims perspective, we have Ugadi festival and we have Kallari and Thayam. We will see what are these. Now the first editorial, the Backdoor Censor. It covers why news government policies to regulate internet. It covers the GS2 Indian polity and governance. So basically Twitter has challenged this portal in the High Court. It's saying that this portal reduced transparency. This portal reduced transparency, accountability, and we will see how the Twitter has challenged this in the court. So before that, first, what is Sahyog portal? It's a platform by the government to enhance coordination between the social media platforms, the telecom regulatory authorities, the service providers, as well as the law enforcement agencies. So this is a portal where the officials from these three platforms, which platforms? Law enforcement agencies, social media platforms, as well as telecom service providers, they come together and they decide what sort of content needs to be regulated, what sort of content needs to be unregulated, कौन सा content internet पे रहना चाहिए and कौन सा content internet पे नहीं रहना चाहिए. Now it could be against the policies of the government, it could be a news which can lead to regionalism, which can lead to communalism. So all those sensitive information is being dealt by the Sahyog portal. Now what's the primary goal of this portal? It's to facilitate quicker takedown of the unlawful content. We have covered this in a very just format. Then comes section 79 of IT Act, that's an Information Technology Act 2000, which provides safe harbor protection to the internet intermediaries, that is social media platform. Just a gist, nothing else is more important. We're not gonna get into the controversy, we'll just be knowing what it is about. Then comes section 69A, which allows the government to block content, to regulate the content on the grounds such as national security, such as public order, as well as the sovereignty of India. Then this section also requires a designated officer's approval, a written justification, as well as independent review before the content can be blocked. So Twitter is saying why it has challenged this portal in the court. Twitter is saying कि जो ये process है ये follow नहीं होता है. So there is no transparency, there is no accountability. It's in their own whims and fantasies that they take the decision, and they're not accountable to anyone. That is why the Twitter is asking the judiciary to intervene, to see what's happening, to take the measures to resolve this issue. Right? Yes, Vikas, absolutely correct. Then we will come to the next, heat waves. Basically, there was one more Supreme Court judgment related to this, that is Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, under which Supreme Court intervened and struck down Section 66A of IT Act 2000, under which Section 66 of IT Act 2000, under which it violated the freedom of speech under Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution. That has been struck down. So Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, that case is related to this only. Then comes the heat waves. Why in news? It's related to the heat related ailments. The summer rise temperature across India. In Delhi, it has already touched 40 degrees Celsius, and we are in March. We can imagine what sort of situation would be there in the month of May, in the month of June. Then which part of syllabus? GS2, governance policies and interventions. GS3, climate change, environmental pollution as well as degradation. Then comes what is heat wave. Heat waves is a prolonged period of excessively hot weather that cause adverse effect on the environment, on the Indian economy as well as the human health. These are the diagrams which you can look after later. Then the criteria, this is important. Here I have not given you the explanation part, I have just added the diagram for your better understanding. Heat wave scenario, 40 degree in plains. If it goes above 40 degree consecutively, it would be declared heat wave. Then 30 degree Celsius in hills. Then we have normal temperature, this is 40 degrees Celsius above and below. Here as well, severe heat wave conditions. When should a heat wave be declared? At or above 45 degrees Celsius for all locations. In Delhi, it has reached 40 degrees Celsius. So we are just 5 degrees Celsius back. Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case. Absolutely, Khan bhai. Bilkul, absolutely right. Then at or below 40 degrees Celsius for the coastal locations as well. Just a rough idea about this. Then what are the causes of the heat waves in India? The first is global warming, the long-term rise in the earth's temperature due to the human activities. For example, deforestation, right? Because of burning of fossil fuels as well as industrialization. All this lead to heat waves. Urbanization. Urbanization, we all know urban heat island effect. We all have seen the metropolitan cities. For example, Delhi, Mumbai, where there are densely populated regions. We have limited green spaces, right? We have high rise, heavy concretized infrastructure buildings. So these concretized buildings made of asphalt, what they do, they absorb the heat. That is why the temperature of the metropolitan cities, for example Delhi, Mumbai, their temperature is 5 to 6 degrees Celsius higher than the surrounding areas, higher than the surrounding rural areas. So this is urban heat island effect. So I'll read it for you. Rapid urban growth leads to urban heat island effect, where cities with dense population, concrete buildings and minimal green spaces absorb and retain more heat, especially during the heat waves. Then we have El Nino effect. We all have seen in 2020 as well as 2015 lead to delayed monsoons in India. So all these factors related to the warming of Pacific Ocean, which disrupts the global weather phenomena, causing temperature changes, altered rainfall and shifted wind patterns. Then come the next, that is the impact of heat waves. Basically, it will impact your health. How will it impact health? It will lead to heat cramps, heat exhaustion, heat stroke as well as hyperthermia. Hyperthermia, when the temperature of your bodies rise significantly, drastically, dangerously, that is hyperthermia. How it will impact the water resources? There would be more heat, less water. It will lead to drying up of water bodies, which reduce the water availability for the agriculture as well as domestic use, which increase the competition for resources. We all know that water is a scarce commodity. It's not unlimited. We see there's so much of water, but often we say there would be water war in future. So save water, conserve water. Higher temperature during the heat wave lead to electricity demand, more AC, more coolers, right? So we need more power outage for cooling, straining power grids, potentially causing blackouts. See, the supply is limited, the power grids is limited. When there will be more demand of the AC because of the heat waves, it might lead to power shortages, it might lead to blackout. Then the next comes the way forward. Here you have to learn the keywords which I have mentioned in bold. So first we need a heat wave action plan. Moreover, heat wave has been considered as a natural disaster. Natural disaster. But there have been demand by the state governments to declare it notified disaster under Disaster Management Act 2005. If a statement comes, heat wave is a notified disaster under Disaster Management Act 2005, is this statement correct or wrong? Tell me in comment box. Heat waves is a notified disaster under the Disaster Management Act 2005. Is this statement correct or wrong? So yes, it's a wrong statement. It's a natural disaster. Till now, it's not a notified disaster, but there has been demand. Then we need to develop robust disaster adaptation strategies as well as the management policies. We need to have long-term action plans. Then we need to implement Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, that is 2015 to 2030. Now what is Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction? It is basically a global agreement by the United Nations member states which was signed in 2015 to establish resilience against the disaster, to reduce our vulnerability to disaster, to maintain sustainable resilience to the natural hazards. For example, earthquake, floods, all the natural disasters, we need to strengthen our capability. It's an agreement by the United Nations member states, between the states as well as the stakeholders. Many of you are confused, I'll repeat it again. Heat waves is a natural disaster presently, but there has been demand to declare the heat waves under notified disaster under Disaster Management Act 2005. Presently, it's a natural disaster only. Then comes implementing climate action plan to execute the national action plan for climate change for inclusive growth and ecological sustainability. We need to integrate the nature-based solutions for climate change adaptation, which leads to intergenerational justice. Learn any 4 or 5, but do not miss this Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. These are the keywords, these are the agreements. When you mention this, it enhances the credibility of your answer. It beautifies your answer, which will give you extra marks. Then to promote passive cooling technology in urban areas to mitigate the urban heat island effect, as we have seen in the case of Delhi as well as Mumbai. To revive the traditional Indian building designs following IPCC AR6. Again, just skim through. Then heat wave mitigation plans to provide water, right, to have easily access to water, ORS, so that we don't dehydrate, as well as shade at public places, offer flexible working hours and spatial arrangement for the construction workers, the outdoor workers who are working directly under the sun. Then ensure proactive implementation by local administration supervised by higher authorities. So make sure you also drink enough water, keep yourself hydrated. Summer is approaching. In fact, it has already here and the temperatures are soaring really high. Then this is a prelims PYQ. Solve this very quickly. Khan Bhai, Vikas, Samar, Roshni, Abhinandan, all of you has given the correct answer. The correct answer is 1 and 2 only. What are the possible limitations of India in mitigating global warming at present and in the immediate future? The first is appropriate alternate technologies are not sufficiently available, which is absolutely right. India cannot invest huge funds in research and development. It is also right, absolutely. Mansa, Priyanka, Gagan, Ruchi, Priyanka, Dheeraj, everyone has given the correct answer. Many developed countries have already set up polluting industries in India. It's an incorrect option. So correct option is 1 and 2 only. Then we'll move ahead. There was a mains PYQ as well. Bring out the causes for the formation of heat islands in the urban habitat of the world. Here you have to give all the examples which I have given you with mentioning of all the important keywords. This was asked in 2013. Again, it's important. Then comes the prelims news. We have Ugadi festival. We celebrate this festival in the states of Telangana, Karnataka as well as Andhra Pradesh. Basically, this festival is the commencement of the Hindu New Year, and it is breakdown into two words, two Sanskrit words, Yug as well as Adi. Yug is age, Adi is beginning. So beginning of a Hindu New Year. I'll read it for you. Ugadi marks the commencement of the Hindu New Year and it's observed in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana as well as Karnataka. The term Ugadi stems from Sanskrit word Yug, that is age, and Adi, that is beginning, denoting the start of a new age. This is the image. Here it has written ahead of Ugadi celebrations, so I have covered this as well. Then the next, you just need to be aware, we have covered this earlier as well. It was again in news. I'll just give you a quick brief here. Dawn drills at windmills in Kerala propped up by Kallari and Theyyam. These are the art forms of Kerala. These are the art forms of Kerala. So you need to know these terms, Kallari and Theyyam. With this, we have come to the end of today's daily news analysis session. All the very best to all of you. We have only these important news. There was one news on the front page about the Russian President Vladimir Putin is expected to visit India this year. I have not covered it. Let him arrive first. By then, we'll have many developments about the Russia-Ukraine war, as US is also trying to intervene and sort out the issue. So once he arrives, we will be covering that in detail. For example, thank you Khan Bhai, Gagan, thank you Ruchi, Sonali. So I've just covered the important news, what you need to know only from the exam perspective, right? I have not covered irrelevant information, only from prelims and mains perspective. This was important. We have covered when Russian president will come. I'll make sure to cover that comprehensively in detail and tell you from the IR perspective as well what's happening. So thank you so much. All the very best. Thank you everyone. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you. Thank you.